Carnival does not have to worry about me. They do not have to worry about me. We got the message loud and clear. We are not your demographic anymore. So, y'all, I was supposed to be going on a Carnival cruise. So, one of my friends is turning 30 and he's never been on a cruise. He doesn't have a passport, so do not suggest flying somewhere. So,
Carnival Cruise Line does not like black people, and they don't want black people taking their cruises, okay? It started off with the speakers telling people that they can't bring speakers no more. Why would you not want people to be able to bring speakers to listen to their own music? Anyway.
So, I was planning on going on a Carnival cruise for my birthday this year in December.
As we know, Carnival previously introduced a series of changes to several cruise ship policies. Some of these adjustments, such as banning handheld fans and rumors of restricting hip-hop music, coincided with a period that upset many black passengers who felt they were being specifically targeted and discriminated against. In practice, however, the results of these policy changes seem to have had a positive effect. It has been quite some time since we've heard of any serious fights aboard Carnival ships, and hopefully this trend will continue through the rest of this year and into the next. That said, this doesn't mean nothing is happening. Smaller incidents still occur, which Carnival can manage internally and prevent from spreading on social media. At the same time, rules appear to be tightening as some situations remain difficult to fully control. If you thought the fan ban was the strictest measure, Carnival has actually gone much further. One of the most notable changes is the new curfew for younger passengers. Anyone under 18 must return to their cabin by 1 a.m., unless accompanied by a guardian or an adult over 21. The rules are even stricter for passengers aged 18 to 20 who are not allowed to travel alone, and anyone under 21 must be accompanied by at least one adult over 25. This is a clear effort to reduce incidents and potential dangers involving teenagers on board. Carnival has also addressed smaller but long-standing irritations such as pool chair hogging. Previously, passengers would leave personal items on chairs for hours to reserve them. Now chairs are labeled with check-in times, and any unattended belongings will be removed if the owner does not return. This ensures fairness and prevents disputes on deck. Recently, rumors about Carnival banning hip-hop music and even the popular dance the wobble, which was blamed for causing issues, have resurfaced. While there's no official confirmation, these reports have sparked discussion about how Carnival is changing its onboard operations. On the other hand, some passengers have confirmed that things are largely normal. I'm on a cruise right now. The music hasn't changed. Hell, we wobble and line danced the entire cruise. Yes, the fan ban is in place. Just got off a Carnival cruise. They do play wobble and all line dance music. They do play hip-hop. I barely saw children, and they pulled off all the stickers on suitcases. We did see a fight between a man and woman on the Lido deck. I just got off Carnival Celebration, and they are playing the wobble dance. So far, music hasn't changed, but one thing is clear. If you're planning to sail with Carnival, you'll need to prepare to follow these new rules, and cruising may no longer feel as carefree as it once did. Why are there so many new rules? Cruises were once simply a mode of transportation, but today, the ship itself is the destination. Modern ships are essentially floating resorts offering extensive amenities, diverse dining options, and abundant entertainment. This evolution has prompted cruise lines to invest heavily in creating a lively, exciting, and well-managed environment, which requires more structured rules to maintain safety and order. Unfortunately, not everyone follows the rules, or even behaves appropriately. A striking example widely reported involved a violent brawl aboard the Carnival Sunrise on June 7th, shortly after the ship departed Half Moon Cay in the Bahamas. The chaos left passengers stunned and forced ship security to act quickly. The fight erupted in the ship's pizzeria, where shouting quickly escalated into physical confrontation, with chairs being thrown, as bystanders scrambled to get children out of the way. Video footage captured by passengers shows the mayhem, including someone yelling that a person should be thrown overboard and another shouting about protecting their children. With experience in handling such incidents, the cruise line acted decisively. The passengers directly involved were confined to their cabins, while others implicated in the fight were banned for life and could face fines of up to $500 for their reckless behavior. This was clearly not the only fight to occur. It is simply one of the larger incidents that went viral on social media. Cruise lines eager to protect their reputation frequently take steps to prevent such videos from spreading. In reality, smaller altercations happen frequently and across nearly every ship. While Carnival continues to emphasize stricter enforcement of conduct policies to curb fights, smuggling, and disorderly behavior, passengers express frustration that such incidents still occur despite repeated warnings. Short cruises, especially those lasting just 3 to 5 nights, consistently see more disruptive incidents than longer sailings, and the reasons are surprisingly predictable. These quick getaways often attract passengers who are looking for a fast, high-energy vacation rather than a relaxed escape. With lower prices and shorter time commitments, they draw groups of heavy drinkers, spring and summer travelers, and people who are simply more focused on partying than pacing themselves. Alcohol flows freely, and many guests treat the trip like a weekend party rather than a cruise with families and thousands of other passengers on board. It's also on these shorter itineraries that you're more likely to encounter people who can't hold their liquor, a factor frequently linked to arguments, fights, and reckless behavior. Carnival isn't the only line facing this issue. MSC has reported similar patterns, with its short Caribbean and Bahamas runs seeing elevated tension during peak seasons. In contrast, week-long or longer cruises tend to draw a different crowd altogether. Families, seasoned cruisers, retirees, and travelers who want a full vacation experience. The atmosphere shifts dramatically on these sailings. People pace themselves, spend more time exploring ports, and generally focus on enjoying the ship rather than pushing their limits. The result is fewer confrontations, fewer late-night blow-ups, and far fewer incidents going viral on social media. In the end, the length of a cruise shapes the onboard culture, and shorter trips often create the perfect conditions for tempers to flare. It's clear that fights can occur on any cruise line that offers shorter, more affordable sailings. For this reason, cruise lines are increasingly tightening regulations for passengers to prevent incidents and reduce the need for lifetime bans. Honestly, if you follow the rules, the cruise line has no reason to ever ban you from sailing in the future. Royal Caribbean, one of the largest cruise brands in the world, has recently introduced several new restrictions, one of the most surprising being a crackdown on the long-standing passenger tradition of hiding rubber ducks on board. This change has raised eyebrows among cruisers who see the activity as harmless fun, but the cruise line says the rule is necessary. The biggest issue is Central Park on Oasis and Icon-class ships. This lush neighborhood is filled with thousands of real plants and trees, and passengers searching for ducks were pushing through foliage, trampling flower beds, and damaging the landscaping. Children in particular were getting overly enthusiastic, leaving the area in disarray and increasing the crew's maintenance workload. As a result, Royal Caribbean has now banned hiding ducks in Central Park's live plants and strongly advises guests not to hide them in pools, hot tubs, or retail shops either. Royal Caribbean has also doubled down on pool chair hogging a persistent problem across the industry. The official policy states that deck chairs are first come, first served, and belongings left unattended for more than 30 minutes may be removed by staff. However, many guests say this policy is rarely enforced, leaving early risers free to claim loungers for hours and fueling ongoing frustration on busy sea days. Norwegian Cruise Line NCL and MSC Cruises have similarly extensive lists of prohibited items and behaviors, reflecting a shared industry priority of safety and efficient operations. Common banned items include drones, weapons and ammunition, open-flame items, irons and other heating devices outside beverages, and high-risk electronics like large batteries, laser pointers, or ham radios. MSC also bans hoverboards and extension cords due to lithium-ion battery risks. All these rules raise an important question. Are cruise ships slowly turning into nanny states? Many passengers feel that the growing list of bans, especially those affecting personal expression and harmless fun, reduces spontaneity and freedom. The prohibition of Bluetooth speakers, handheld clack fans, and even duck hiding can feel like overregulation. Curfews for minors and stricter rules for adults traveling with minors further contribute to a sense of increased surveillance and control. Still, many bans make obvious sense. Weapons, illegal drugs, and fire hazards pose serious risks on a ship carrying thousands of people. And with such dense populations in small shared spaces, cruise lines must prevent behavior that could create safety issues, damage property, or disrupt other guests. The challenge is balancing necessary precautions with the freedom and fun that define the cruising experience. Ultimately, passengers themselves play a critical role in keeping cruising enjoyable. Responsible behavior, respect for shared spaces, and consideration for fellow travelers can greatly reduce the need for stricter and more intrusive rules. The future of cruising depends on maintaining safety and order without losing the sense of adventure and escape that makes life at sea so appealing. So what do you think? Is the industry going too far, or are these rules overdue? Share your thoughts below.
Cruise brochures have always been filled with enchanting images, historic cities, quaint villages, pristine beaches, and breathtaking natural wonders. Cruises once promised a seamless journey, effortlessly bringing you to the destinations of your dreams. But that promise is now under threat. More and more ports around the world are introducing restrictions, and in some cases, outright bans on large cruise ships. This means stricter passenger limits, soaring port fees, and forced itinerary changes for cruise lines. So the big question is, are we witnessing the end of an era where cruises could freely visit any destination? And more importantly, how will this shift impact your own dream vacation at sea? In recent years, some of the world's most famous cruise ports have started pushing back against the growing influx of massive cruise ships. The message is clear. Environmental concerns, overcrowding, and changing tourism priorities are reshaping the way these destinations welcome or refuse cruise travelers. Take Nice, France, for example. The city has officially banned floating hotels carrying more than 900 passengers. The mayor pointed directly to pollution issues and voiced frustration over what he described as low-spending passengers that large ships tend to bring in. Across the Atlantic, Belfast, Maine, made headlines when it decided to prohibit cruise ships carrying more than 50 passengers. That's essentially a blanket ban for almost all cruise lines. City officials cited safety concerns from congested waterways to the traffic chaos caused by tour buses descending on their small town. In Venice, Italy, the situation has been brewing for years. Large cruise ships were first banned from sailing through the iconic Giudecca Canal, a move aimed at protecting the city's fragile foundations and UNESCO heritage. Cruise lines like Norwegian cruise line NCL have since scrambled to find alternatives, with some voyages dropping Venice entirely. Iceland has taken a different approach. Instead of banning ships outright, it introduced a new per-passenger, per-day tax of about $18. For a 2,000-passenger ship, that's a $36,000 daily bill, enough to make cruise lines think twice. Some itineraries have already been canceled, and officials expect 80 fewer cruise calls in 2025. They're not alone. Other popular destinations, such as Barcelona, Santorini, Mallorca, Norway, and Dubrovnik, are also introducing restrictions to protect the environment and manage overwhelming visitor numbers. The result? Cruise lines are being forced to rethink itineraries, sometimes removing bucket list ports entirely. This presents a problem for travelers who book years in advance, only to discover their dream stop has been replaced. While these replacements are charming in their own right, they present a marketing challenge. How do you convince American cruise passengers to get excited about cities they've never heard of? It's a balancing act between preserving the magic of travel and adapting to the realities of a changing cruise industry. So why are cities taking turns banning large cruise ships? The growing trend of cities restricting or outright banning large cruise ships at their ports stems from a complex interplay of social, environmental, and economic concerns. Over-tourism remains a primary issue, as mega cruise ships, often carrying 5,000 or more passengers, can overwhelm smaller destinations. In Venice, for instance, the city banned large cruise ships from its historic center in 2021 to preserve its UNESCO World Heritage status and reduce overcrowding. Environmental concerns are equally significant. Large cruise ships contribute to air and water pollution through heavy fuel consumption, emitting sulfur oxides and greenhouse gases. Their massive size also causes physical damage, such as erosion of coastal foundations and disruption of marine ecosystems due to water displacement. For example, in sensitive areas like Norway's fjords, the environmental impact of cruise ships has prompted restrictions on non-eco-friendly vessels. Ports are increasingly adopting sustainability measures, such as requiring ships to use shore power to reduce emissions while docked. But many older vessels lack the technology to comply. Economic considerations further fuel the bans. While cruise ships bring visitors, their economic benefits are often overstated. Passengers typically spend less than a day in port, eating and sleeping on board, which limits their spending on local businesses. According to a 2023 report by the Nice Chamber of Commerce and Industry, cruise passengers spend an average of $38 per day compared to $180 by conference attendees who stay longer and engage more with the local economy. This disparity has led cities to question the value of hosting large ships, especially when weighed against the costs of managing crowds and environmental damage. Ironically, the cruise industry's business model exacerbates these issues. Since 2000, the size of the largest cruise ships has doubled, with vessels like Icon of the Seas carrying over 7,000 passengers. This trend toward bigger is better clashes with ports' desires to reduce congestion and environmental harm. As a result, cities like Amsterdam and Key West have imposed strict passenger caps or outright bans on megaships. Meanwhile, cruise lines are investing in eco-friendly technologies, but the transition is slow and tensions with port cities continue to rise. Balancing tourism revenue with sustainability and resident well-being remains a challenge for 2025 and beyond. Cruise lines today face one of the biggest challenges of the modern era: how to adapt when ports around the world begin placing restrictions or outright bans on large cruise ships. Does this mean the end of the megaship experience? Will passengers no longer be able to choose the biggest, most glamorous vessels at sea? Not quite. Cruise companies have no intention of letting that happen, and this is where clever marketing and strategic planning come into play. To minimize the damage caused by port restrictions, cruise lines are taking bold steps to reshape the way travelers see the cruising experience. The first and most obvious strategy is shifting focus toward the ships themselves. Modern megaships are no longer just vessels. They're floating resorts. With multiple pools, towering water slides, Broadway-caliber productions, themed restaurants, and endless bars and lounges, these ships have evolved into destinations in their own right. Pair that with the cruise line's private islands, exclusive beaches, and entertainment hubs owned and operated by the companies themselves, and suddenly the itinerary becomes less important. Even if fewer traditional ports are available, the vacation experience can still feel complete. At the same time, restrictions open new opportunities for smaller vessels. Luxury lines such as Regent Seven Seas, Silversea, and Oceania already operate ships small enough to dock at ports inaccessible to megaships. These brands can use this moment to highlight their unique itineraries, showcasing hidden gems that most cruisers would otherwise never see. In fact, it wouldn't be surprising if larger mainstream cruise companies begin to invest more in smaller ships or specialized fleets, gradually diversifying their offerings to balance out the limitations of giant vessels. Another major push will be the discovery and marketing of new destinations. Cruise lines are already on the lookout for alternative ports, eager to transform relatively unknown locations into must-visit stops. Through stunning photography, immersive storytelling, and creative marketing campaigns, they have the power to turn hidden harbors into highly desirable vacation spots. What was once an inconvenience may become an opportunity to refresh itineraries and surprise guests with new experiences. In short, while port restrictions may seem like a looming obstacle, cruise lines are proving resilient. By doubling down on onboard attractions, promoting smaller ship experiences, and reinventing destinations through savvy marketing, they are ensuring that the dream of cruising remains not only intact, but more diverse than ever before.